Greetings and welcome, gentles and ladiesmen, to the first Let's Play on EPG Plays. That's the new Let's Play channel I just launched. However, this episode will be first going up on my review channel as a sort of sample dealio so that you guys can get a feel for what you can expect from this channel. And if you like this episode, in order to see further ones, you will have to subscribe to the channel itself, and there will be a link and whatnot in the description and in the end card and whatever. But yeah, we're gonna get started here real quick. I'll go with EPG this time, which is what some of my friends call me.
Okay though, buddy, as part of your hero training, you've got to stay in guard tonight over my bananas. I'll relieve you at midnight, so try and stay awake until then.
Who goes there?
It's the smaller one. Seal him inside this barrel and toss it into the bushes. Donkey Kong's bananas are ours.
DK, wake up!
What'd you do that for? I was having a nice nap.
Take a look inside your banana cave. You're in for a big surprise.
My bananas and my buddy Diddy, they are gone. The Kremlings will pay. I'll hunt them down through every corner of my island until I have every last banana for my horde back.
Alright, fellas. This is, in case you couldn't tell from the intro and the title screen and everything, this is a little game called Donkey Kong Country. This was originally released in 1994 on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, but as you can see, that is not the version we are playing. We are playing the GBA re-release that came out in 2003. And why are we playing that version? Because I want to. And honestly, I think it's a pretty good version to play, in some ways the superior offering. I'll be sure to explain that as we go along, but first stick to the treetops and you can nab yourself some free men real quick. You can even skip half the level that way if you want. But we're not gonna skip it all the way because we need to get all the Kong letters. This will be a 100% run, which in this version includes few extra things over the original SNES release, and I just went back into that cave by accident. But yeah, this version actually adds quite a lot of extra content. If you didn't know, if you haven't seen my Remake or Re-Break episode, that's way more popular than the ones I did for the sequels for some reason. Like, you look at the DKC1 episode has like 100,000 views, and then the other sequels only have a fraction of that. I think it might be my intro, because that was back when I spent way too much time on stuff like story and development history, which are things that I've tried to shrink down on in more recent videos. But as you can see, it's a straightforward hop and bop platformer. You just, it's very easy to pick up and play, and that's what I really enjoy about DKC1 in particular. And the classic trilogy, more broadly, is just how straightforward and simple it is. Because you know, I've been replaying Tropical Freeze recently, and the side quest content in that game was not well paced at all, and it's actually kind of drags the whole experience down for me. So that's just the way I prefer to play these games. And you know, it's like technically you don't have to do anything, but I guess we're going for Rambi. Oh, I'm really bad at those, and that might bite me in the butt coming up here, because there's one bonus room in Creme Croc Industries where that is required. Let's see, do I have the G? Is there a way to? All right, so I guess that's one of the levels in this area has a G stuck up in the treetops. I'm just gonna double check I didn't miss anything up here. I think I'm good, but it always pays to be certain. Yep. All right, we good, fam. We good. Oh, and You guys might remember in my review I complained about slippery controls, and there's a Twitter user named Marty. I think his handle's like Lysodia or something. I'll add it over the video, but as you can see, like I'm letting go of the D-pad and it takes a few seconds for Rambi to slow down. I can't remember if that was in the original or not because it's been a while. Much like Pearl Jam, it's been a while. But in the review, I complained about slippery controls, and one thing I should mention right off the bat is that I am playing this on the crap. I am playing this on my DS capture card instead of, because the problem with the reviews is that I did, and that includes the Donkey Kong Land trilogy as well, is that I played all these games on the Game Boy Player, which has a number of problems. I stuck that route because I wanted to be genuine. By the way, there's a photograph in there. We'll get more to that later. I wanted to be genuine, but the problem is, and I thought that, you know, going the Game Boy Player route would be more genuine than going the emulator route. And in some ways that's true, but in other ways it really skewed my representation of all of the games in that marathon and the GBA and Game Boy side. Because the Game Boy Player has terrible input lag, it puts this... So here's the thing, and I don't want to get too much in depth into this, but when you have an image of a smaller resolution, right? Like the GBA, I have this memorized because I'm a nut, has a resolution of 240 by 160 pixels. And that means that if you're trying to blow it up onto a screen that's larger than that, you have to upscale it. That's just how digital video works. And the resolution for the GameCube it varies between 720 to 6 vertically or horizontally. It varies between 720 and 640, and with a vertical resolution of 480. And so that means that obviously the Game Boy Advance has a smaller screen size than the GameCube does. So that means that it has to be upscaled. And the Game Boy Player uses this format for upscaling called bilinear filtering, which is also used for textures. Like if you guys saw my Conquer video recently, I mentioned that the N64 uses bilinear filtering on its textures. Like if you compare the PlayStation to the N64, you will find that it's much easier to identify individual pixels in a PlayStation texture than it is on the N64, and that's because the textures on the N64 are just as pixelated, if not more pixelated actually. But because of the bilinear filtering, it sort of disguises that and creates fake pixels in between. So it's sort of like it's using the hardware to create additional resolution on the fly. That's kind of a very crude way of explaining it, and I'm sure that Retropolis Zone, who probably isn't watching because he hates LPs, is just shuddering at the thought of that being my explanation for it. And he's more likely he's probably laughing at me for even mentioning this to people who probably don't care that much. But point is, Game Boy Player uses that to blow up the Game Boy Advance image to larger size. And more broadly, when I was recording it in 480i using S-video cables and using the shitty upscaler to upscale that. So what you get is this really... So first of all, the GBA footage in the 480i frame is being stretched with a crappy algorithm. There are multiple ways to blow up smaller images to larger, and I'm sure I'll discuss the one I'm using for this footage eventually, but point is, when you go that... So, blurry footage, and that's the problem with bilinear filtering, is that it makes everything blurry. And I missed that G, so we get to go back in there. What did I miss the G? I think I did. Yeah, I did. All right, we get to go back. Actually, why don't we chat with Cranky real quick?
You seem to be doing quite well. If I had been playing, I would have got here much quicker. One thing before you leave. To save your progress, simply press start on any world map to bring up a menu. Then just select the save icon.
Yeah, there's a couple of rare references in the background there that you may not have noticed, because that background is redone compared to the original version. I could not see that. but thankfully the visibility in this remake is generally pretty good. What little I have played of the Game Boy Color version has not impressed me in that regard. It's very much the exact same deal as the Donkey Kong Land series, but I am getting ahead of myself. You might look forward to an episode on the Game Boy Color version of Donkey Kong Country in the Mediocre Marathon. That is if I decide it's worthy of the marathon, which I haven't gotten for sure yet. So, there is a photo in each of these little animal bonuses, so I'm trying to do that the best I can. Oh, Jesus. Gotta say, the 60 frames really does help. And, yeah, just to continue on with what I was saying, if you can get 600 of these little tokens, then you will get a photograph of that animal buddy for that animal bonus, so... Which I enjoy, because in the original game, these were just places to get lives really quick, but in this remake, which adds the scrapbook mechanic in as kind of an equivalent of the DK coins in the later games, it gives you kind of an incentive to find some of the hidden little trinkets inside of those bonuses. But you have this 40 iframe, and in that 40, and by the way, whenever you have an interlaced input, there's always going to be some level of interpolation, which is basically blending the fields together. Now I'm getting really technical. Point is, blurry Game Boy Advance footage inside of a blurry 40 iframe, which is then blurred up to HD, and not even like an even integer scale. So what you get is really crappy looking footage. And on top of that, the Game Boy player has some just awful input lag. It does not run anywhere close to 60 FPS. Like, this is running at 60 FPS right now. So, I wasn't expecting that. And all this because I missed the original G. But, yeah, here we go. So this is Winky's bonus room. It's a little, like every animal buddy has one. That's what those giant gold tokens are for. And no, it's pretty self-explanatory. You jump around, you grab the little trinkets. Each bonus room for the animal buddies has a special multiplier in it, and if you can find that, that's how you're gonna get those pictures in time. So that's basically what it is it's sort of like a key, almost. You do have to be kind of quick, because I find that, well, it looks like I'm not going to get it this time, but we have a whole game ahead of us. I'm actually a little bit ahead of the curve. And as you can see, I already have like over 20 lives. All the people who are telling you that this game is unplayably difficult are lying. Because look at how many lives I have. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, so terrible input lag, terrible blurry footage. Do not play your Game Boy Advance games on the Game Boy player. I dare say, because like I said, I was doing it because I thought it would make for more accurate footage than a more accurate gaming experience rather than the emulator route. But when you have terrible input lag and a terrible frame rate that makes it more difficult to play the game, then that's a less accurate than the emulator route in that sense. That makes, if what I'm saying makes sense. So that's why I'm really glad I got this DS capture card. It is one of my favorite things. Because not only because it gets me a raw digital, and it's like frame buffered and all that, and I can upscale it however I want, and pick whatever bitrate I want. I can funnel the footage in through OBS, or I can record it and as an AVI and upscale it later. It's great, and it's like, it gets perfect footage just across the board. So I really love this little device. It's gonna make for much better GBA footage going forward, not to mention, my DS footage is looking pretty great with this thing as well. And because you guys bothered to watch this, I might as well give you a little bit of a secret extra, so to speak, about what's going on with EPG. Oh boy. Let's see if I can't. There's another photograph around here that you have to bounce on 3 of those guys in a row, and that's how you get it. But lost my train of thought. But I did actually take a bit of a new step for the channel, and that is I purchased a used 3DS capture card off of eBay, and It's not gonna get here for a while, unfortunately, which does kind of annoy me a little bit, but once I get that, I'll be able to get footage that looks just as good as this from my 3DS. And the problem with 3DS in particular is that everybody uses bilinear scaling to blow up their... because the DS is 240p, in case you didn't know. And that's the same resolution as PlayStation and N64 games, but those games have variable resolutions. It's like everything... it can be a whole number of different resolutions, but it will fit within a 320 by 240 frame. And if you, FrameMeister, if you turn up the brightness and then use like 2 times Smart 2X as the upscaler option, you can actually view that. And let's see, what am I? And point is, you can see that frame, and that's been kind of mind-opening to think like, well, everybody said it was 320 by 240, but here I can tell that Spyro is chopping stuff off the top and bottom and whatnot. Yeah. And I think that's all I needed to get there. I just need to hit... you jump on 3 Kremlings in a row, and then you get that thing that we just got. You know, it's about 15 minutes, but since this is the first sample episode, I say we just finish the world, because you've only got a couple levels left, and I'm blasting through this pretty quickly. Alright, so... I believe there is a hidden unguard down here. Or not. Well, there's hidden shit at any rate. By the way, I learned from a commenter in my review that that effect in the background is not technically 3D. It looks like it's pseudo 3D. It's actually a plane that has like a special parallax sort of effect on it. It's difficult to explain, but it's not true 3D. And apparently the person who mentioned it developed games back in the day, so you knew how that kind of stuff worked, which is interesting. Point is, DS capture card, it's a great little tool if you produce content and you want to record, you want to record footage from your Game Boy Advance or DS in emulator quality, essentially, because that's basically what this is. You get a raw digital image, just like an emulator. But unlike an emulator, you don't get any of the technical hiccups that you find there. Because like as great as Dolphin is, as great as Virtual Boy Advance is, no emulator is 100% perfect. Those emulators get pretty close when you have the right settings for Dolphin, obviously, but you know. So with this, you're playing on authentic hardware, and you have the choice to play it either on your monitor or on the screen itself. I have something equivalent that I can do with my PSP. It's called what is it called? There's a thing that lets you, that's basically the same thing as the DS capture software, only for PSP, which I'm going to be using from now on as well, but yeah. Hey, I'm Funky Kong. See my rad barrels? They're way cool. The jumbo barrel can get you around this island in no time, but it only travels to places you've already visited. The other barrel, the one with the hook, will take you to my most excellent fishing pools. To choose a barrel, just move underneath it and press the A button. To exit my hut, just press right on the D-pad. Cool move. You'll like this. I'll set a challenge for you to beat. If you're successful, I'll reward you with some wicked items. Here's what you need to do. Use the control pad to move on guard left and right. When you're ready to strike, press the A button. This will haul the catch from the water. Simply place it in the boat to make it yours. 20 redfish. Right on, man. My first challenge is to catch 20 more of those redfish within the time limit. The more you catch, the better the prize. One thing though, don't hook anything but the red ones. Record catch is 0 redfish. Alright, so it's pretty much what it sounds like. So we got several different kinds of fish here, and they're actually all recolorations of the bite-size enemy from the underwater levels. I think we saw at least a couple bite-size in Coral Capers, which is the level we just beat. But basically, you move the hook over the whatever it is you want to catch or underneath, and you can get combos actually if you get more than one. I don't know if there are no points or anything, so I don't know if it does anything besides, you know, the just kind of being a cool thing you can do. All right, come on, fish. And if you get some momentum going, you can haul them up from quite a distance away. We got to get 20 of these buggers, and it's not too hard, I'd say. Oh, I think that crab is a bonus. I think it maybe adds a little bit of time. Let's see, you can get... Is that supposed to be Funky talking to us? I don't know. Oh boy. Alright, we got 20 already. And after that, you can just kind of go for a high score, I guess. I don't think the game really recognizes or rewards that anyway, but, you know, all you need to do to get the collectibles from this minigame is beat the challenge that they give to you. By the way, I like the pseudo 3D effects going on here. This is a nice looking GBA game, and you know, I'll say this much: like I said, I'm playing this on a. Well done, dude! Cool fishing, and you caught that pesky crab. Here, take these as a reward. Oh, we got 2 of them. Okay, so that's what the crab does. I didn't actually know that because I haven't finished my full practice run yet. I only played through the first couple worlds, but. Right over here, as you can see, there is a secret passage, and I just totally fucked that up. Oh well. Worst case, you know, it's just, you know, you guys get to see more of the level this way, so it's fine by me. Let's see. One thing I will say, and I said this in my Game Mavericks run as well, that's part of the reason why we're playing on GBA is okay, I don't think that's supposed to look like that. I don't know if that's a glitch or it's just like they put the wrong tiles or something. If you're gonna play Donkey Kong Country, and like I said, there are people who act like this game is like brutally difficult or something when it's pretty reasonable, I think. It's challenging, but it's not like you're not gonna be throwing any controllers over this one. Maybe in Gorilla Glacier on the original version, but what people don't seem to understand, it's kind of like how some people will play Mario and not hold down the run button for some reason, which is really annoying when you're like playing New Super Mario Brothers and you have someone who just can't seem to wrap their head around the fact that they have to hold the one button down, or that they should be doing that, even though you tell them over and over again. But sort of the equivalent thing for Donkey Kong Country is that you can roll into enemies, and it's equivalent. Sonic has something similar, but you have to press down and you lose all forward momentum. This is much better, I find. It's much more immediate. It gets the job done perfectly. Most enemies are weak to it. Even if like an enemy is about to like jump on top of you, you can roll into them and it'll still kill them. Like, it's very, very generous. And what's even better about the roll mechanic is that you can actually roll off of ledges to get some airtime and then jump at the end of it, which is really great. It breaks the platforming in half a little bit, but I think that they intended for you to be able, and I just died. But I do feel like that was kind of their intention, that you'd be able to do something like that. Alright, broke our barrel here real quick. We're almost done with this first world. Let me just, if I hadn't died, we'd basically be done. And if I miss any Kong letters or pictures or something, or bonus barrels, we can do cleanup for that later. I don't really have an exact plan at this moment in time. That was not supposed to happen. Yeah, roll mechanic, very useful, highly recommended. Like, especially if you've never played DKC before, I think you'll find that with that knowledge in hand, you will do much better. It's like, yeah. Especially with some of the pickups in this game, it's just something that's ingrained to me because I've been playing these games so long that, you know, I just get it. It's ingrained. Let's see. But it's not like you need to know that in order to beat the levels or anything. It's just very helpful. And, you know, especially in the original, where I find that the camera isn't always the best in the world, because on the original the sprites are actually bigger. I can post a comparison screenshot for you so that you can see that the sprites in this version are smaller, which was a good move in my opinion for GBA, because, you know, 240 by 160, you don't have all the space in the world. Hi there, do you want to try at my dance studio? Just jump in the barrel to begin. So, Candy used to be the save point in the game, but because you can save at any time, her area has been converted into a dance minigame. Okay, here's how we do it. You'll see a lineup of buttons and directions scrolling across the screen. Hit that button or direction just as it passes through the square box. You'll then see hit, miss, or if you're really good, perfect. Both hit and perfect will build the prize bar at the bottom of the screen, while a miss will cause the prize bar to decrease. Simply repeat this process until the tune stops. I will then reward you depending on how you find a position on the prize bar. Good luck! Let's make this easy for you. I'll only do a couple of different moves this time. Alright, so this is the second minigame here. And this does require some concentration, and this is another thing that the Game Boy player made really difficult. Like, I cannot believe I beat all of these minigames with the terrible input lag and the terrible frame rate. Like, I'm acting like it's terrible, it's 30 FPS, but for a 2D game, that'll throw you off more than you think. But for 3D, it doesn't matter as much, I find, but... Yeah, but this first minigame's pretty easy, just, it's a rhythm game, like Guitar Hero, but before there was Guitar Hero. By the way, brand new music just for this version of the game. I think the Game Boy Color version has minigames in it too, I don't know if they're the same ones as this version or not. But I haven't played that version in a while. I got to Minecart Madness, and yeah, the camera was not helping me with that. But so there we go. We got a pretty good score on that. Cool. You sure know how to hit the moves. Here you go. Take this. So by completing Candy's Dance Studio, you get in that highest chunk of the prize meter. You will be awarded with another camera. So let me just double check on how we're doing here. Yep, looks like we're all set to finish off Congo Jungle here. So here we have our first boss. This is very naughty. So yeah, the little beavers, they're called naughties with a G, like as in gnawing wood. Get it? And there's a beaver in Banjo-Kazooie named Naughty as well. But all the bosses in this game are like really easy. Except maybe the final boss. I haven't even talked about the plot yet. Jesus Christ.
I can't believe it! You trampled all over Naughty! Give me that giant banana, I'll take care of it for you. Come on, get going, you can't rest yet.
Alright, and with that, we have completed Congo Jungle. We will continue with Donkey Kong Country and head on further into the island and delve more into the story and some of the other stuff momentarily. But for now, this is the preview episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to see more, you'll need to subscribe to my brand new Let's Play channel. That's EPG Plays. I'll be putting up a card, and again, it's probably in the description too, and it'll probably be in the end slide as well. But you can subscribe to that for more. I plan on doing more informative kind of LPs like this of games I like and maybe some games I don't like. If we can reach 1,000 subscribers by the end, I'll say by the beginning of September. And no, we'll say September 15th, because this will probably go up tomorrow. So that will be like a month from now. If we can reach 1,000 by September 15th, then I will promise to do a Let's Play of Super Metroid Redesign, which is this awful, alright, not awful, but it's a very questionably designed ROM hack that is very hard and will probably piss me off, and you guys will probably have a great time with that. And so, yeah, so if you guys want to see that, if you want to see more Let's Plays, then please subscribe to my Let's Play channel. Again, it's totally up to you guys, but yeah. So, yeah, I will see you guys for part 2, and that will be on the other channel. So if you want to see more of this, you have to go to the other channel, all right? So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.